You won't believe how this graduation ceremony ended. Stick around, because this story will change how you see the people around you, and by the end, you'll understand why I'm begging you to hit that subscribe button for more real-life stories that restore your faith in humanity. The auditorium was a sea of royal blue caps and gowns, a cacophony of whoops, tears, and the rustle of programs. For Mike, standing in the shadowy aisle at the very back, it was the most beautiful sight in the world. His work-roughened hands, usually clutching a mop or pushing a buffing machine, were clenched tight at his sides, his knuckles white. He was a tall man, but years of bending and lifting had given him a permanent, slight stoop, a physical manifestation of the weight he carried. From his vantage point, he had the perfect, unobstructed view of his twin daughters, Chloe and Sophia, their bright, identical faces beaming under their mortarboards. They were his everything, his reason for breathing. The journey to this moment had been carved from granite, one backbreaking day at a time. Their mother, Sarah, had left when the girls were just toddlers, unable to handle the quiet turmoil that had followed Mike home from a dusty, faraway desert. The twins didn't remember a time when their dad wasn't both mother and father, when he didn't come home smelling of bleach and floor wax instead of sand and sweat. He worked the night shift as a janitor at the very high school they attended, a secret he'd made them swear to keep. Pride is a luxury we can't always afford, he'd tell them gently when they were old enough to feel the sting of embarrassment. But in education, that's a necessity. He'd come home as the sun was rising, sleep for a few hours, then be there to make them breakfast, help with homework, and tuck them in, the circles under his eyes as permanent as tattoos. And he had tattoos. One, in particular, was rarely seen, hidden under the long-sleeved janitorial uniform he always wore, even in the stifling summer heat. It was a sprawling, intricate piece on his left forearm, a globe and anchor, the eagle, globe, and anchor of the United States Marine Corps, flanked by the dates of his service and the names of fallen brothers. That part of his life, the part filled with fire, brotherhood, and a sense of purpose that vibrated in your bones, was a locked box. He was just Mike the janitor, now, and he was okay with that. His medals were his daughter's honor roll certificates. His missions were getting them to graduation day. As the principal began calling names, Mike's heart swelled, a painful, joyful pressure in his chest. He watched Chloe, the more outgoing of the two, stride confidently across the stage. Then Sophia, the quiet, thoughtful one, her smile shy but radiant. He didn't cheer, he just watched, drinking in the moment, his eyes glistening. This was the finish line. This was the payoff for 1,000 missed nights of sleep, for a lifetime of quiet sacrifice. The ceremony concluded in a flurry of thrown caps and roaring applause. Mike wiped a stray tear from his cheek with the back of his hand and began to move, wanting to find his girls in the chaotic crowd. As he weaved through the throng of celebrating families, his sleeve, tugged by an excited grandparent, rode up slightly, exposing the very edge of his tattoo. That's when he bumped squarely into a man in a sharp, dark blue dress uniform, the gold bars of a captain gleaming on his shoulders. The man, Captain James Thorne, was there to see his own nephew graduate. He was about to offer a polite, "Excuse me," when his eyes dropped to Mike's arm. He froze. Completely. The color drained from his face. Mike, flustered, quickly pulled his sleeve down. "Sorry about that, sir." "Congratulations to your graduate," he mumbled, trying to sidestep the statue of a Marine officer. But Captain Thorne's hand shot out, not aggressively, but with a firm, almost reverent urgency. His eyes were locked on Mike's, wide with a disbelieving intensity. "That tattoo, the 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines insignia, the scrollwork, it's you." His voice was a low, stunned whisper, cutting through the celebratory noise. Staff Sergeant Michael Eagle Evans. The name hit Mike like a physical blow. A name he hadn't heard in over 15 years. A name from another lifetime. He took a step back, his janitor's instincts telling him to disappear, to flee. "You've mistaken me for someone else, Captain," he said, his voice tight. "No," Thorne insisted, his own voice cracking with emotion. "No, I haven't. I was a brand new butterbar, a scared second lieutenant on my first deployment in Marja. Our convoy was hit. My Humvee was flipped, my leg was pinned. The air was full of lead and dust." He took a step closer, his eyes begging Mike to remember. "A squad sergeant, against direct orders, fought his way through the kill zone to get to us. He used his own body to shield me while he cut me free from the wreckage. He carried me 2 clicks to the evac point, getting hit in the leg himself but never stopping, never faltering. That sergeant was you, Evans. They gave you the Navy Cross for that. They said you were a legend. And then, you just disappeared. They said you were Kia. We all thought you were dead. The memory, vivid and terrible, flooded Mike's mind. The heat, the noise, the taste of blood and dust, the weight of the young lieutenant on his shoulders. He'd come home from that tour a different man. The Marine, the hero, was broken. The VA system was a maze, and the ghosts were loud. He'd retreated from the world, changed his last name, taken the only job that would let him hide in plain sight and still provide for the family he was determined to build. He chose diapers over dress blues, and he never, ever looked back. Just then, Chloe and Sophia found him, their faces alight with triumph. "Daddy, we did it," Sophia cried, throwing her arms around him. They saw the stunned Marine captain and the look on their father's face. "Is everything okay, Dad?" Chloe asked, her voice laced with concern. Captain Thorne looked from the twins back to Mike, the pieces of the story clicking into place with heartbreaking clarity. The hero wasn't dead. He had simply traded his rifle for a mop, his fireteam for a family. His final, and greatest, mission had been raising these 2 incredible young women. Mike looked at his daughters, then back at the captain. The wall around his heart crumbled. He gave a slow, weary nod. "It's okay, girls," he said, his voice thick. "This is an old friend." The story didn't end there. Captain Thorne, a man of action, made a phone call. A week later, a formal letter arrived at Mike's small apartment, correcting his military records, restoring his benefits, and offering him a full disability pension he never knew he was entitled to. But the real resolution came a month later, at a small, quiet ceremony at the local Marine Corps League Hall. Captain Thorne had tracked down a dozen of Mike's old squad mates. Men who had also thought him dead for nearly 2 decades. When Mike, wearing a simple, clean button-down shirt, walked in with his daughters, the room fell silent. Then, one by one, these grizzled, hardened men stood at attention, their eyes shining, and saluted. They weren't saluting a janitor. They were saluting a brother, a leader, a hero who had chosen a different, quieter kind of battle and had won. Mike didn't have to work nights anymore. He became a custodian supervisor, working days, with benefits and respect. But more importantly, his daughters finally saw the whole man their father was. They saw the warrior, the hero, and the saint, all wrapped into one. They learned that the strongest people aren't always the ones with the loudest voices or the most impressive titles. Sometimes, they are the ones silently mopping the floors so their children can walk on a cleaner path. This story is a powerful reminder that heroes walk among us, disguised by their humility and their sacrifice. It's about the invisible battles people fight every single day for those they love. If this story moved you, if it made you look twice at the quiet person in your own life, then do me a favor. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to see it, and subscribe to this channel. We find these incredible, true stories of the human spirit, and we bring them to you every single week. Because everyone has a story. You just have to be willing to listen. Thanks for watching.